He is one of the best cutmen and boxing analysts this country has seen, Russ Anber. He's also a pretty good pool player. Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show. Coming up! Our guest today was born in Montreal. He has spent 45 years in the sport of boxing. He is a Q Sport champion, a magician, the founder and CEO of Rival Boxing, a boxing analyst extraordinaire, covered 6 Olympics now for CBC, soon to be 7, I think. Professional boxing advisor and manager, pro trainer, cut man. He's worked as corner of several world champions, including Oleksandr Usyk, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program once again, the coach, Russ Anber. Good to have you here, my friend.
How are you, Joe? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, buddy.
Good to see you.
I'm pretty good. Good to see you, too. Listen, I was talking to you earlier, just on the way home from Belfast. Tell me something. What was Belfast like, and what exactly were you doing? I saw your Instagram post, actually, from Blackstaff Snooker and Pool. You called it Belfast one of your favorite places on earth. What makes it so special?
Listen, it's not my first time in Belfast, and I've made a lot of friends over there, especially in the snooker clubs. And we went to 2 clubs. The picture you saw earlier, the first one was with Mark Allen, who's the Masters champion and the actual ranking #1 ranked snooker player in the world right now. So I got to meet him at his club in Antrim, I believe it's called, which is outside of Belfast. It was about 25-minute drive outside of Belfast. Went there. And I was there for boxing as usual. You know, I'm fortunate enough that, you know, the work I'm doing with the fighters, Joe, and I get to travel the world. And as a result, I've probably played in more snooker clubs and pool halls than actual professional players have played in, you know, because I've gotten to travel to so many places, you know, as a result of boxing. So it's been great. Belfast is a fantastic city. I really love it. The people are just out of this world, and it's great to be among the Irish in Belfast.
Yeah, you know what? It's something, a little bit of trivia here. I actually fought in Belfast back in 1977. I fought at King's Hall
Wow.
and Ulster Hall. I had knocked out the champion, the Irish champion, Johnny Thompson. Look it up.
Wow.
And
Wow.
yeah.
I
It
know where
was
the
a
Ulster Hall
big
is. I know
surprise.
exactly where that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still
It
there.
was a big
Still there, yeah.
surprise. Big surprise. And yeah, it was my coach was, you just knocked out the Irish champ. Nobody told me ahead of time. It was
That's a
anyway.
huge
But
win,
anyway,
though.
you're
That's a huge win.
yeah, it was a huge win. It was a lot of fun. So
For
listen,
sure.
you're doing pretty good. I understand you won the provincial championship in pool recently. We're not
Snooker.
leaving
In
pool
snooker.
just
In
yet.
snooker.
Snooker, sorry, in
In
snooker.
snooker. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you went and you did very well at the nationals as well.
Yeah, I was very happy about my performance at the Nationals. You know, I finished I finished in the top 24, which was kind of nice. I got out of my group, and I had the I had the misfortune, I should say, of meeting the former Canadian champion. Oh my God! Now you got me on the spot. The name. Oh, the name is on the tip
We'll
of my
come to
tongue,
you.
but there was no
It'll come
way
to
I was gonna beat him. A guy from Sudbury, actually, a hell of a player, and I just passed my time spotting balls for him. He's just too
Yeah.
good. But I had a
Yeah.
great time. But it's great being among all the guys and seeing everybody there. Thorburn was there. Jim White was there.
Right.
They inducted Alain Robidoux into the Canadian Hall of Fame for snooker and pool. So it was great seeing them there and being part of that.
Yeah, Jim's got a
I'm a
nice place in
junkie. I'm a
Scarborough.
junkie for that
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
Joe. I'm a
Yeah.
junkie for
Yeah.
pool sports. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
You've coached some great fighters, obviously, through the years. Traveled with the Canadian team for many years. I'm currently reading a book now. It's called Tiga's Tale: The Remarkable Life of Champion Boxer Burington Francis. Tell us what you
Yeah.
remember about Tiga Francis.
There's a lot I remember about Barrington, you know, and I remember when he started out with me as an amateur. You know, he was always a flamboyant, exciting fighter to watch who had good power. And from the day almost of his first amateur fight, he wanted to be a professional, and he fought like a professional. And his uncle,
Right.
for those boxing aficionados who know, was Percy Hales, who was Commonwealth champion from Jamaica, great fighter in his own right. And so he came from a bloodline of great fighters. And Barrington was just an exciting guy to train. I had him through his entire amateur career, turned him pro, and that was during a time when amateur boxing really put the kibosh on pro coaches working, amateur coaches working with
Right.
pro fighters,
Right.
and they wouldn't let me work with Barrington, and I had to bring in people to work with Barrington, most notably John Davenport, who worked the Barrington's corner when they wouldn't allow me to do so without losing my amateur status, and I was on the verge of having Howard and Otis Grant going to the Olympic Games. So yeah, that was some turbulent times. But watching Barrington develop into the fighter he became, and he goes unfortunately a little bit unnoticed in Canadian boxing circles because he could fight, and those people on the inside and people who know boxing remember how good Barrington was. But he was just a pleasure to work with as an amateur. Him and I traveled to New Jersey every week for the New Jersey Golden Gloves. We had to go every week for 8 weeks. We would drive down to New Jersey to fight and drive back. Next week, drive down, come back and fight New Jersey Golden Gloves. And he got a silver medal in the finals of the New Jersey Golden Gloves, which, as you know, is a massively difficult tournament. So it was great. It was a wonderful experience, and I have nothing but fond memories of Barrington. When I go to Toronto, I hope to run into him all the time and see him because, you know, we reflect on the old days and the things that we did together. It was great.
You know what strikes me about Barrington? Interviewed him a number of times. Just a real nice guy. Just he's a sweetheart. I
Yeah,
mean, you'd never believe this
he
guy
is.
was, could do what he could do to somebody in the ring because he was just
Yeah,
amazing. Really an amazing individual. Okay,
yeah.
so it's been a massive couple of years for your most famous protege now, Oleksandr Usyk. Uh, Usyk, who won the Olympic gold medal in London in 2012, was the undisputed cruiserweight first cruiserweight in history to hold all four major championships at the same time: WBA, WBC, IBF, WBO titles. Now he beat Anthony Joshua to win a title, and that surprised a lot of people. But clearly, that did not surprise Russ Anber.
No, it didn't. And there was a podcast that I had done before he even made his move to the heavyweights. And I told the people then, I said, he's going to become heavyweight champion of the world. Don't sleep on Oleksandr Usyk. And everybody thought he would be too small for the heavyweight division coming out of the cruiserweights, especially in an era that's been dominated by big guys, whether it's Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury, or for that matter, Deontay Wilder, who, although not a heavy guy, was, super tall. And I said, this kid can fight. This guy can go. And you had better be. I said, the problem with Usyk is the guy thinks he's a middleweight. And that's the way he fights. He fights at the pace of a middleweight. And I said, these guys aren't going to be able to keep up. And sure enough, he's proven me right. And without a doubt, one of the greatest human beings I've ever met. And Joe, I can't say this about a lot of people, but you'll understand when I tell you this. When people have asked me what kind of a guy is, he's a good guy, blah, blah. And I said, as a father of a daughter, I'm telling you, this is the kind of guy you want your daughter to bring home. And that's how highly I think
Right.
of Alexander.
Well, we talked about the Joshua victory. Then, of course, he beats Tyson Fury to become the unified heavyweight champion. First one since Lennox back in the early 2000s.
One of my
Yeah.
favorite pictures of all time. Seeing this shot right here, you have no idea the joy that this brings me. As a matter of fact, a guy in the UK did some he painted this picture and
Right.
he did prints of it. And I called him. I said, Connor, I got to get me some of these prints. I mean, this is a crowning moment for me in my career, and a crowning moment for Rival as well, to be now part of heavyweight
Right.
history in becoming, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world and beating the guy that, nobody except, true believers of Usyk thought he could win this fight. No one thought Usyk the size of Tyson Fury, and not only did he overcome the size, but he had the Tipsy King moving all over the place in round 9, and that was just to me one of the greatest moments of my life. And, to be part of winning the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world and to have been part of that in the gym and working with him and training him and not just standing idly by in the corner, but actually contributing to, bothering him in
Yeah.
the gym and busting him and staying on him to the point where he even mentioned it at the press conference and called me a ball buster at the press conference. Uh, you know, my career is downhill from here on in, Joe.
Yeah.
Downhill. What's going to
Yeah.
top the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world? So, yeah, it was a great, great night.
Well, maybe if he defends it a couple of times. I mean, obviously, you talk about what a great guy he is. He's an incredible fighter, like you said, giving up 6 inches to Fury. Fury, seen as a great boxer, puncher, guy who can move and everything else. But Usyk just kept him at bay the whole time, kept him off balance, made him look like really almost made him look like an amateur. There's never any doubt who would won the fight, in my opinion. But what do you think? There's any chance at all that Fury has could beat him in a rematch? Like, do you see that happening at all?
Look, it's boxing. Anything can happen. The guy's a dangerous fighter. He's 6'8", 6'9", whatever he is. He's 260 pounds. He's as mobile as a middleweight. Like
Right.
he's really mobile for such a big guy. In all my years in boxing, and like you said at the outset, I'm 45 years in this game. I've never seen a big man so fluid in what he does. I mean, it's fair to say that I'm not sure that our friend Lennox was even that fluid. Lennox had a
Yeah.
beautiful style. There was some grace to it, but he was never that kind of fluid guy who would move around the ring and dip away. He had a much more classic style, and so maybe, or if it is just as fluid as Lennox, but I mean, just unbelievably talented for such a big man and agile, and so anything could happen. It's heavyweight boxing, and anything could happen. I never liked to. I even before the fight, while I backed my man, I always knew that Fury was going to be a dangerous and tough opponent. But I thought we had the horse. I thought we had the pony that we were going to be able to
Yeah.
do this, and we did. I did an interview on the Friday with Canadian television with TVA here in
Yeah.
Montreal, and they asked me what I thought about the fight. And I'm glad this stuff is on record because no one would believe this. But I said this is the first time in history that the heavyweight championship of the world is going to be determined in a 6-round fight. And the guy looked at me and said, 6-round fight? What do you mean a 6-round fight? I said, this fight is going to play out in round 6 to 12. That's where the heavyweight champion of the world is going to be decided. And almost on cue, that's exactly the way it went. It was Usyk putting his pedal to the metal in the sixth, seventh round, and bang, he was gone. Took everything down the stretch, had him hurt in the ninth, and basically threw a shutout from round 8 on. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, all the way through. I think I gave Fury 5, 6, and 7. I gave Fury 3 rounds, 5, 6, and 7, which I thought he won after Usyk
Yeah.
had built up what I thought was a comfortable lead early, although the three blind mice around the ring didn't quite see it that
Yeah.
way. But and one judge, the Canadian judge, had Fury winning the fight, which
Yeah.
defies all kinds of logic. I mean, yeah, it absolutely makes no sense at all. And then Fury, Usyk came down the stretch and won it. So look, he could win. A rematch could happen, but at the end of the day, and in the most important moment, and at the time it was supposed to be done, with all of Fury's talk and all his, nasty remarks that he made and all the names he called Usyk, we beat him fair and square and almost had him out in the ninth round for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. And no one will ever be able to take that away.
Yeah. You talked about him being the kind of guy that you'd like your daughter to bring home. And you know what? He just comes off as a humble guy, even in victory, right? Like
Yeah,
he's just a great guy.
yeah.
It just seems like what you see is what you get. I'm guessing because you know him better than I do, obviously. But yeah.
100%, 100%. And something else you might not know, he's in Vancouver actually right now filming a movie with The Rock. So he's in
No
Vancouver
kidding.
doing a movie. Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, I'm going to get to
Awesome.
hook up with him. I'm going to Vancouver on Thursday, so hopefully I'll get to hook up with him. I'm going to message him to find out if he's still there because they've been bringing him kind of in and out So I'm going to see if he's there when
Right.
I'm there. I'm only there for a couple of days. So,
Right.
yeah.
But he does have to keep training now and again too, doesn't he? So,
Oh, listen,
tell it.
this guy
Yeah.
trained so hard, Joe. You know, in my years in boxing, I thought I had seen all the greats train and how hard they train. I'm humbled by the amount of work that this guy puts in. And it's unbelievable what he can do in a boxing gym. I have changed after all these years, I've changed my thinking on how hard fighters should train. And in the West, we've always had this approach of take it easy, let your body rest, do this, that. This
Right.
guy goes nonstop, nonstop. And it's just, it's a privilege to watch him and to have learned and seen a side of the Soviet school of boxing up close. And I
Mhm.
understand a lot of it, why they're such a dominant force from the former Soviet Union, from the Eastern Bloc.
Right. And speaking of Eastern Bloc, you've got other fighters from that area that you work with, including of course Artur Beterbiev, who is Canadian Russian light heavyweight undisputed champion. This past January, he remained undefeated with a seventh round TKO over Callum Smith. Now you had your work cut out for you in that fight because he got a nasty cut uh, during that fight. Tell us about Archer first of all before we
Well,
get into the cut.
there's a little bit of confusion here. Let me set the record straight. Uh, he's not undisputed. He's a unified champion, but
Oh,
he's
unified. Okay.
fighting Bivol for the undisputed title. I believe it's in September. Okay, they're fighting each other.
Right.
He fought Callum Smith in this last fight in January. Uh, and because I'd worked with Callum Smith and virtually all the Smith
Mm,
brothers, the four lads from Liverpool, I'd been in the corner of all those guys, primarily in Liam Smith's corner and Callum Smith's corner, all when they won world championships and everything, I was in their corner. So for this fight with Beterbiev, I respectively bowed out from that fight. The cut you see there was the fight against Anthony Yard, and that was the one that I
okay.
took care of against Anthony Yard. So I didn't work the Callum Smith fight. I had told Callum that I could not work against Arthur if ever they were to fight, and I told Arthur that I could not work against Callum if they ever fought. So I bowed out, and as a matter of respect to both guys, both are my friends, and I didn't work that fight. But Arthur just proved what a great talent he is, and I really think he's going to become undisputed champion. I think he's got everything it takes to get past a very talented Dimitri Bivol. But Bivol might find the pressure and the power just something like he's never seen before when he steps into the ring with Artur Beterbiev.
Yeah, Beterbiev does bring that to the table, doesn't he? Like the
Oh,
nonstop pressure, but he's got a meniscus injury apparently, and
yeah,
the first boat was put up because of that. What? How does it
correct.
look, and how is he? Yeah.
Yeah, look, as far as I know, he's good. I'm not with Beterbiev. I'm not into the daily preparation with him. Mark Ramsey and his team take care of that stuff. And yeah, he's good, and I know he wants this fight. And he's had two injuries now, so-called injuries. He had a dental infection, which caused a postponement of his summer meeting with Callum Smith. That had to be pushed back to January. They fought again. Now he was supposed to fight in in August, I believe it was. He was supposed to fight, and he got the meniscus, so that had to be postponed and moved again. So clearly, there's some mileage on the body that's coming into play right now. But hopefully, he'll be all set for Bivol.
Another Eastern Bloc fighter you work with, of course, Vasili Lomachenko. Loma, two-time Olympic gold medalist, won titles in three divisions. I mean, he was champion in, I think, 7 or 8 pro fights. This guy is unbelievable. He's done stuff that no other fighter has. Tell us about your experience with Loma. Four titles.
Fourth pro fight, he became world
Yeah,
champion.
yeah.
He fought for
Fourth
the
pro fight.
title. I
Okay,
believe it was might have been in his second pro fight. They robbed him.
right.
Controversial fight in which he got hit low at least 25 times in the fight and never got a warning from the referee, but ended up winning the world title in his fourth fight, became champion in three divisions: featherweight, super featherweight, and lightweight. Missed out on his opportunity to become undisputed lightweight champion because of the war in Ukraine, and was unable to go to Australia to face George Kambosos for the undisputed title. Devin Haney went instead. Devin Haney became undisputed champion, and then they robbed Loma against Devin Haney. But wow, one of those guys, Joe, that, I'm sure that when our fathers saw Sugar Ray Robinson and Joe Louis come along, they must have said, wow, this is incredible. Well, to me,
Yeah.
watching Usyk and Lomachenko, is the closest thing I'm going to get to see to seeing what our fathers might have gone through in watching someone like a Sugar Ray Robinson or a Joe Louis or
Yeah,
Muhammad
these
Ali for that
guys, real greats, real warriors, fight anybody,
matter. Oh,
anytime, and give it their all. Okay, so
absolutely.
speaking of Loma, one of the guys he fought, of course, a tough task for a Canadian fighter recently this past weekend. Steve the Dragon Claggett facing Teofimo Lopez, the lineal lightweight champion, now lightweight champion. Claggett, I love this kid.
Me
He's just,
too. Me too.
he just what he's done going into this fight. He wins 9 straight fights, and they fights anybody along the way. He keeps upsetting one fighter after they put him in front of the other. He won't beat this
Yep.
guy, beats that guy, won't beat this guy, beats that guy. His way up to Teofimo Lopez, and now here's the guy that he does finally lose to, but he forces him to go 12 rounds and he forces him to fight harder than he's ever had to
Every
fight
round.
before. Yeah, which is unbelievable. Right? Like, wasn't that good?
And what a chin he had, because he took some hellacious shots from Lopez and still kept firing back. And if you look at Lopez's face after the fight, it doesn't tell the story of even though the scorecards say he dominated. It's one of those
Right,
fights that you're winning the rounds, but every round you're winning, you're fighting for your life. And he virtually had to do that in order to keep Claggett off of him. And Claggett never stopped coming. He put the pressure
right.
on, despite what was coming at him. He put the pressure on, and he tried everything in his power to break Lopez. Lopez is a fantastic fighter. Beat Lomachenko, close, but beat Lomachenko.
Yeah,
Got the win. He's a great fighter, and for Claggett to do what he did in the style he did it against, and I actually thought if there was going to be an upset, Claggett could pull this off, and he fought like he was trying to pull off the upset. He really fought like he was trying to pull off the upset, and I don't think ESPN gave him enough credit for what he did
right.
and the gamesmanship he showed and the crowd pleaser that he was, that made Teofimo Lopez fight his ass off every round.
Yeah, yeah. It was he
Great
he did
performance.
deserve a lot more respect from the commentators, no doubt about that.
Yeah.
What do you think about this for Steve Claggett? Where does he go from here? What would be next for
I'll
if you
tell you
were
what,
managing this guy?
this is a problem, because he put Teofimo to such a tough test. It's going to be difficult to get opponents, especially highly ranked opponents, where you would be hoping to cash in and make some money. It's going to be very difficult to get opponents to take a fight with this guy, because they know they're going to be in a war. That's a problem. He showed such grit that these guys are going to say, "Whoa, this fight is more difficult than it looks on paper." Because on paper, the guy, he's got 7 losses. I got 7 losses. Who
Yeah,
gets a shot at a
yeah.
world title with 7 losses? Well, that's when his career was mismanaged early in his career, and he fought anybody, and they just threw him in
Yeah.
and didn't care about him. But now that he's got Eye of the Tiger Promotions behind him, he's got a good gym, he's got a good trainer in Mike Moffa, former national team member, great amateur champion. Now he's put his career together, and this is the end result. So this is a great example for fighters who are worried about, if they get a blemish on their record, what can they do? Well, this is what you do with an opportunity when you have it in front of you to fight for the championship of the world, and you put on a performance like Steve Claggett did. I think actually a lot of guys are gonna say, nah, we're not gonna fight this guy. Let's see if we can find somebody else, because they know they're gonna be in a fight. He has positioned himself very well. One thing is certain: whatever network a fighter could be on, they will immediately accept Steve Claggett as an opponent, guaranteed.
Right. What about
Yeah.
Lopez? What does he take away from a fight like this?
Look, I think Lopez needed this kind of a fight. He for the last little while since the Lomachenko victory, he's ran hot and cold, and it's almost like he's never consistently lived up to the level that they expected him to be at and be and perform consistently. When he does, he's brilliant. Case in point, his win over Josh Taylor to capture the 140-pound crown. Um, then he had some off nights. He didn't look so good. I believe it was against Sandor Martin. He didn't look so good there. It was a controversial decision. And I thought, if he doesn't run hot against Claggett, he's going to be in trouble. But he did run hot, and he fought a guy who put pressure, and he had to run hot because if he would have, offered up a subpar performance, I think it was going to be an opportunity for Claggett to beat him. So he had to come up with a great showing, and he did. So where does he go from here? He's asked to fight Crawford. Maybe that could happen. Crawford's looking to fight Canelo. Canelo's looking to fight nobody of any note.
Mm-hmm.
So it's difficult to say where he's going to go from here. But Lopez has hinted that he wants to move to 47. So he wants to have been champion at 35, 40, and now he wants to go to 47.
Another Canadian on the press here, Cody Crowley, supposed to fight Drawn Boots Ennis.
Yeah.
We had Cody on the show back, and this is how Cody described his fighting style.
But I'm maturing as a fighter, and I'm starting to understand my own power, my own timing, and when to put my foot on and off the gas. And I feel like now I'm at the point where I'm able to suffocate my opponents, but then be able to, at the same time, still find the placement and the proper punches to get them out of there. Because at the end of the day, that's what people want to see.
Okay, so
right.
2 questions here. Yeah, so 2 questions. Is that a good description of Cody Crowley? And he has a retinal injury. Is that something you can bounce back from?
Look, you can bounce back from it, of course, but was this the right timing on the verge of a world title fight? Probably not. Boots Ennis is a dangerous fighter, and I think Crowley would have been, a huge underdog in it. He would have had to put on a top-notch performance to get by somebody like Boots, who's one of the hottest guys in the game right now, and maybe one of the most avoided. So let's hope that his eye exam will come back better next time, and he'll continue to get that opportunity. And I think the fact that they eyed him up and were ready to put him in against somebody the caliber of Boots Ennis, I think that they know out there that this guy can be part of any championship fight. And I think if everything goes well with his eyesight, he resumes training. I don't think there's an issue. Leonard came back from it, in a time when they didn't even do the surgery as good as they do them now. So hopefully it won't be an issue, and he'll get right back into the gym. And like I said, I think with his style, TB again, like Claggett, I think they'll take Cody Crowley on right away, no problem.
Okay, other Canadians we might want to keep our eye on. Ryan Ruzicki had his title fight canceled. Patrice Vicious Volney, he looks like he's on the verge here. Zolt Duranye, just the one loss. We got the Willcox brothers here in Hamilton, who we've been keeping an eye on. Spencer Willcox just recently scored a TKO win in Brampton this weekend, improved 8-0. Any thoughts on the Willcox clan or any of the fighters we talked about here?
Well, Volney, I got to see Volney's fight because it was here in Montreal against Butler, and that was a huge win for him. That was a huge win for him. Butler, 2-time challenger to the World Crown. I think that was a big statement for Volney. Now he's got to capitalize on it. He's always been a good talent, and he's kind of just like been beneath the radar, and nobody really knows what he was doing. And he wasn't getting the attention that some of the other Canadian fighters were getting. So I think this is huge. He's got to take advantage of this win over Butler because that's a really credible win on his record, and he has to capitalize on that. Some of the others, I'm not really up on, Joe. Unfortunately, of course, I know the Willcox boys, and what I want to see in Canadian boxing, and one of the things that I think we're missing in this country, and I've made this point on French television, I've made it on my podcast in French, I'll make it here again, and it's a cry out to all the promoters locally, whether it be in Montreal or in Toronto, if you want to bring back world-class boxing and you want to bring Canadians to the world scene, they have to start fighting each other in Canada. This business that we have fighters in the same weight class refusing to fight each other, or in a way asking for money that's ridiculous, basically, which means the same thing. I'm asking for so much money, I don't want to fight this guy, because they're so scared of losing to a fellow Canadian or two guys from Ontario, or Ontario against Quebec. Now, recently, we've had a couple of local fights. Bolney and Butler was one of them. And just before that was Shaquille Finn and Eric Bazinian. And that finished in a controversial draw. But the atmosphere in the building was like nothing else you see when you have a Canadian kid fighting a Mexican or an Argentinian or somebody, an import. It's not the same as having two local guys go at it, because now both of them have sold tickets. The place is filled with supporters from both sides, and they both and we don't know who's going to win. And it's a tough fight. And that's what we need. And when you can start to clean out your country, then you can move on to the world stage. But we need to see more Canadians clean out their divisions in this country.
Yeah, for sure. I remember the days back that Summer Hayes would fight anybody, and Chris Clark and those guys. And
of course. And those matches were, it was like, Summer Hayes fought Eddie Mello. Mello fought Marcotte. Chris Clark fought Clyde Gray. Alan Clark fought Clyde Gray. They fought Cousson. Those were huge. Now it's like these guys are so scared to lose to somebody local, that to lose to someone in their own city, their nerves get the better of them. They don't want to fight these guys.
Yeah. Okay, so getting out of the country for a little bit for a second, the proposed Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight now slated for November. First of all, do you think this is going to happen?
I don't care. Like, to me, it's not a fight. This is an exhibition, and just say for what it is. Treat it as such. It's an exhibition. They've already arranged what they're going to do, how many minutes they're going to fight, how hard you can hit me, what's going to happen. This is just a Barnum and Bailey presentation of making people of this social media era believe that this is a fight. And it's not. It's not a real fight. It's not a real boxing match, because you can't put a real fighter who's in his late 20s or whatever age Jake Paul is and put him in with a guy who's 60 years old, because that doesn't happen. So please understand that this is just a simple exhibition. They're going to have a good time. There'll be a lot of eyes on it, and some people will be hoping that they can walk around and say, "Oh, Jake Paul beat Mike Tyson." But these aren't boxing fans, right? These aren't boxing fans. So,
yeah. It's one of those things like a car accident. It's kind of like, I have to watch it.
And that's the interest that it's created. And I'll give full credit to Jake Paul for generating that. And I think it just goes to show the audience that you're attracting to that, and like, you've even fooled and tricked Netflix into thinking that this is, a big seller. And it will be a big seller, but it's not real boxing. So, I guess it's the same thing as, WWE. It's big, but we know that this is entertainment, right? Like, this is a show, you don't really believe what's happening. So, as long as they make that, that distinction, I'm okay with it. You want to put the show on? Because I was involved in the first one. I was involved in the ultimate exhibition, which was Roy Jones against Mike Tyson. But I look at that differently, because to me, that was a moment and a fight, not because it was a fight, but because it was two legends of the game at their advanced age facing off against each other, and an opportunity for the fans who had seen them in their prime get another chance to salute them and applaud them one more time. Unfortunately, it happened to COVID, but it's like the old timers hockey game. You don't expect it to be a real game, competitive in the NHL, but you get to see the old timer stars. Well, this isn't the case with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. That's not the same thing. So, I just understand that this is a show that they're putting on, just like wrestling. It's not real. It's not real boxing. Just understand that it's done to entertain people. And, there'll be people there who will get to see Mike Tyson who may never, ever have seen him box for real and are going to get to see him now.
Okay, rival boxing gear worn by all the champions, including the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. You recently opened up a store in Vegas. What percentage of fighters are using Rival now, and are you surprised? How did you in your wildest dreams think that Rival could be where it is right now?
I'll start with your last question first. No, I never thought that. In fact,
Yeah,
and I'm serious, Joe. In fact, when I started Rival, it was I was doing it just so I could create some kind of an income for myself, which would allow me to continue to run my gym and train my fighters and be able to take them to tournaments and pay for hotels and do all that. That was what I just needed to create enough of an income that would allow me to pursue my real dream, which was to be a trainer, train world champions, work with world champions, be on the big stage. That's what I wanted to do. I never expected Rival to become what it became. When I started this, I just realized it now because this year we celebrated our 20th anniversary. And I
right.
realized that, wait a minute, I mean, I'm not great at math, but I'm 63. That means 20 years ago, I was 43 when I started it. I never even thought about a 20-year anniversary for Rival, and I was going to be 63 and see it. And 10 years ago, we opened up in Vegas, and we're going to be having a party uh, probably in October on Columbus Day weekend in Las Vegas, and kind of a party, a celebration, and a warehouse sale and all that. We're going to try to do in Las Vegas because Vegas has been really good to us, and I was so thrilled to open up that office in Las Vegas and be part of what is generally considered the fight capital of the world, and we're proud to be there. As for the percentage of fighters wearing it, I don't know, and it's not something I check or follow.
Right.
I don't do that. I have people at my office who might be able to answer that question, but
Yeah.
I don't know. But for me, the most important thing and the thing that we stick by with the fighters is that we develop and we cherish our relationships that we have with the fighters. We will often identify fighters at a young age and start helping them out, providing gloves for their fights in the hopes that they stay with us because they like the gloves and they stay with us. Whether it's Anthony Joshua, Usyk, Lomachenko, Jean Pascal, name who you want. The guys who have worn our gloves wear them because they like them. We don't pay them. I don't have the
Hmm.
money to pay these guys. They wear them because they like them. And Beterbiev, another one that comes to mind. And to me, that's important. They wear them because of the relationship we have and because they like the product. And to me, that's the most important thing.
Certainly have a lot of Canadians wearing them, that's for sure. Another thing,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
recently lost a mutual friend here, Darren Dutchyshen, very good friend of yours. We lost Darren. He died of cancer. You guys used to host a show together in this corner, and tell us what your thoughts about Dutch.
Joe, I was in Saudi. It was on, I believe, the eve of the fight that I learned of his passing, and I dedicated that night to them, not to him, to his memory. Not that maybe that means a lot coming from me, but it just goes to show how important and what I thought about this guy and how much I loved him. And I had such a good time working with him, and the fun we had on that program. And he took it to
Right.
you hosted a couple of times with me, and he took it to a next level. Like he just loved the game so much. He was so passionate about it. We got to do the Pacquiao Mayweather fight together as well. We got to do the McGregor Mayweather fight. We traveled together. We had a laugh. I sent him gloves when he needed gloves. And he was the only one who got away with this, but he nicknamed me Punchy, and that just stuck with him. And he just had a way of making fun of me and me of him. And one of the ways that you in our culture that you show you care about somebody and you love them is you either feed them or make fun of them. So we did
Right.
both together, and I'm really sorry about what happened, and I'm more sorry that I didn't get to see Dutchy. Nobody from TSN told me about the state he was in. I knew he had cancer. He was diagnosed with it, and then he was back on the air, and everything was good. And no one told me that this was bad. And I'm a little bit upset with that, but uh, I'm really going to miss him, and I'm going to have great memories of the times that we had together. And I know how much he loved the game, and I know how much he loved doing that show. You could see it when he did it, how much he loved it and the fun that he had doing In This Corner. And that's going to be 3 years of my life that are going to be among the fondest memories I ever have. And having done it at TSN and having done it with Dutch was just outstanding, brother. And I dedicated this fight to him. Max Boxing did a Bill Tibbs from Winnipeg did a beautiful piece and dedicated it to the boxing world on Dutchy and how much he loved the game and how he did In This Corner with me. And it was truly a touching piece. I'll email it to you just in case you didn't see it, but it was just outstanding to be with him and to have him as a friend for the time we had him.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. He was such a pro. Such a pro.
Yeah.
Just
so easy to get along with.
Yeah.
So politically incorrect. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah.
But he treated everybody the same, and treated everybody so well. You know what I mean? It's like you
That's
were
right.
special around Dutchy. That was a
That's
cool
exactly right. Yeah.
thing.
I love the guy.
Yeah. Final question. What's the best advice you've ever received?
The best advice I've ever received. I don't know. I'm trying to think who has given me advice. I can't say advice because I'd be remiss in telling you I'm going to pick something out. But I can tell you about an encouragement or a confidence or a belief in me, and that would be Vinnie Curle. Vinnie Curle was a world ranked middleweight that I met when he was here in Montreal, and he kind of took me under his wing. And he was such an outstanding fighter. For those who have never seen him fight, and it's a shame that era we didn't have YouTube, and so you didn't get to see these great guys fight, including guys like Nicky Furlano and Gaetan Hart and all that. Those things have been
Right.
as we all die off. The memories of those people are gone because no film exists of them. But Vinnie Curle was such a great fighter, and um, he gave me the belief and took me under his wing as an 18-year-old. I worked at the first professional corner of my life was October 2nd, 1979. Vinny beat Marciano Bernardi in an 8-round decision, and a month later, November 6th, 1979, beat Eddie Mello in front of over 10,000 people at the old Montreal Forum and beat Eddie
Wow.
Mello. And I was in the corner. I was a young 18-year-old kid, and it's because of him that I was in the corner. And he gave me the belief that I could do what I dreamed of doing and being part of the boxing world and training fighters. And he gave me the belief. I think if Vinny hadn't given me that belief and given me that, that confidence and got me into the corner and got me to work, I don't know where my career would be today. But he's the guy who gave me the belief that I could do this. And as a result of him, I'm here today. And he still walks around today telling everybody, I discovered you. I'm your discoverer. So, yeah.
That's
The guy.
beautiful. He deserves that. He did. Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Oleksandr Usyk, rival boxing, all this stuff that you've been able to accomplish, unbelievable. I wanted to ask you a little bit. Sorry, I said last question, but I want to ask you
Okay.
that Saudi experience. What's it like? What are those Saudi
Fantastic.
fights like? What? Yeah.
And well, the whole being in Saudi was just amazing, and everything is put on in high class. Like they put you in a room, like a waiting room, because you got to go talk to the press. You're in there. There's 200 sandwiches available for you. There's 50 drinks you can have. Everything they do is high class. But all of Saudi, and I don't stay only in the hotel. I go out.
Mm-hmm.
I go out and I go to the
Yeah.
snooker clubs, and I go out where the
Right.
people are. And I'll tell you a story. We were there for a fight, and I was with a gentleman named Roger, who's the owner of the Shawinigan Cataracts. You know, the junior major hockey team,
Okay. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Shawinigan Cataracts.
Mhm.
So we
Correctly.
were getting set to go to the airport. We finished with the fight. We had to go back to the hotel, pack our stuff, and go to the airport. So we asked the driver, look, please, could you stop so we can get a bite to eat? Now, this is around midnight or so. Could you please stop? We'd like to get something to eat before we go back to the hotel. So he stops at this kebab place, you know, for some shawarma sandwiches and stuff. And he stops there and he lets us off. And I said, the place was a little bit busy. So they said you had to order at the cash. So I said, okay. And Roger was sat, you know, I said, why don't you take the table, hold the table. I'll get you some food, you know, and I'll bring it over. So I'm standing in line waiting to order. I get to the cash. I order. The guy asked me if I wanted something. I turned to Roger to ask him if he wanted it. He was sat at a table with 6 other Saudis. They were giving him their food, and he was eating and drinking and laughing with them and having a great time. Check this out. Like, this is unbelievable. Because we were from out of town, that's how they treated us. When I would take an Uber to go to the snooker club, I'd ask the guy if he could stop so I can get a coffee. He'd stop. They have Tim Hortons there, by the way. He stops at a Tim Hortons, pulls up, buys me my coffee, and doesn't charge me. Like, he bought me the coffee. Like, unbelievable. The Saudi experience was absolutely fantastic. I loved every minute of that. I've been there 5 times now. 3 times to Jeddah and twice to Riyadh. I loved it.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Fantastic.
One last thought, not a question, but just, you know, you talked about Canadians fighting Canadians, and people in Toronto are still buzzing over that fight between Eddie Mello and Jimmy Stonewall Gradson back in, I think it was like 1982, 83, something like that.
Yeah, remember that?
It was
What a fight.
such an absolute classic. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Where's the film of
Listen,
that?
Coach.
Does that film exist? I wonder if that film exists.
Does not. I don't believe it exists, but I had never seen it if it has. So, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
We really, that was an outstanding era of boxing that people today don't realize how good those fighters were. People today ask me, you know, who's the best Canadian? You know, and I tell people, I said, listen, pound for pound, Davey Hilton was the most gifted fighter I've ever seen. Davey Hilton Jr. was the most gifted fighter I've ever seen. Who was next? Matthew was a murderous puncher. But the guy that I found was one of my favorites was Nicky Furlano. I loved Nicky. Nicky was the first guy to go 15 rounds with Aaron Pryor. He gets knocked down twice in the second round, goes 15 rounds with Aaron Pryor when nobody went the distance with Pryor. You know what I mean? So it's a shame that has been erased from the collective annals of Canadian boxing history, because we had some great fighters who, if they were around today, would have all got title shots. You know, they would have all got a shot at a world crown, you know, and many would have become world champions, and we missed out on that. And it's a shame, because what a great era. And I'm so happy to have started off young enough as I did, Joe, as a trainer, to be connected to that time and to be connected to that era, and to have seen those fighters and work the corners with them and been part of that. You know, it's was a great experience that has served me invaluably in the career that I'm doing now and working corners now.
Yeah. Well, you do such an amazing job, Russ, and I want to thank you for taking this time to join us. It's been awesome. Thank you.
It's my pleasure, brother. And listen, the $1,000 you offered me for doing this, keep it. Make a donation to charity on my behalf. It's my pleasure. You're a great guy, Joe.
Done. Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks, buddy. All right.
Joe, it was great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Russ.
Addiction Rehab Toronto, Toronto's #1 alcohol and drug treatment center, saving lives, reuniting families. The only treatment center in the province to offer medical detox, treatment, sober living, and lifetime aftercare all in one place. Our unique and specialized programs are designed to equip our clients with the tools to successfully lead a life of dignity, respect, and purpose. Let us help save your life or your loved one's life. Call today for more information or to facilitate an intervention. 1-855-787-2424 or visit addictionrehabtoronto.ca. Rely on Walton Restoration's 40-plus years of excellence in residential and commercial restoration. Their strong reputation is built on workmanship, professionalism, and outstanding customer service. Trust Walton as your dependable partner in emergencies, serving Durham, Kawartha, and Northumberland regions. Call 905-725-5666 or visit waltonrestoration.com. Experience top-tier workmanship and service. Walton Restoration, the trusted name in property restoration. Join satisfied customers like me.
And we want to thank all the folks who make this show possible. These are friends, trusted business associates, and all-around great people. We highly recommend them all. Thank you for your support of Canadian sports. A reminder that the show is available on iTunes, Spotify, Breaker, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, as well as the Spanglish Network, Buzz TV Live, and Zingo TV. Also, check out the show on YouTube. All the past shows are there, the latest clips and shorts, reels. Like and subscribe. It's absolutely free. And thanks once again to Russ Anber for joining us. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Brian Gribben Insurance Planning, helping you solidify your financial future.
At BGIP, what we do that's unique in the marketplace is we show people how to spend and enjoy their money in their early years of retirement without the fear of running out. Also, we're able to do this without you having to change financial advisors. Please look us up at bgip.ca today. And let's book a 30-minute phone call to see how we can bring value to you and your family in your planning.
Call Brian today for all your retirement needs. We did. 905-686-5678. MNP, a leading Canadian national accounting, tax, and business accounting firm. MNP proudly serves and responds to the need of their clients in the private, public, and nonprofit sectors. Through partner-led engagements, MNP provides a collaborative, cost-effective approach to do business and personal strategies to help people and organizations to succeed across the country and around the world. With local offices in Oshawa, Mississauga, Burlington, and more, their team is here to support you. Visit mnp.ca today to learn more. Rooted in 60 years of tradition, Sleepy Hollow is a private golf club with a friendly community of members just minutes from Toronto. With mature trees and rolling fairways, Sleepy Hollow provides a challenging and enjoyable experience for passionate golfers. Enjoy great golf, amazing dining, and a picturesque patio second to none. Visit sleepyhollowcountryclub.com. Joe Tilley here. My wife Penny Claire and I recently took an amazing trip to Egypt and Jordan with Trip Oppo. And here are our top 10 must-dos. Last but not least, we relaxed at a luxury resort and took a dip in the famous Dead Sea. This beautiful resort was a perfect way to cap off our incredible adventure in Egypt and Jordan. After days of exploring ancient ruins and bustling markets, it was wonderful to just kick back, put on a little mud, and soak up the sun by the Dead Sea. Oh, I almost forgot to mention the amazing cuisine in Egypt and Jordan. Don't forget to try the delicious local food like mouth-watering Egyptian barbecue. And the best part is that our Trip Oppo tour includes almost all of the meals, so you can indulge in the local cuisine without worrying about opening your wallet. I would highly recommend that you book your next trip through Trip Oppo. Call them today. Guests on Joe Tilley Sports receive a gift certificate from Classica Imports. Top of the line imported men's clothing. Check out the Classica Essential Collection now. Go to shopclassica.com.